good evening, and welcome to tonight's episode of That BS Podcast. We are talking about My Healing Didn't Look Holy. This is day 28 of the Learning How to Flow in Midlife 55-day series with 55 day of giveaways. And that is leading up to my birthday. I'm turning 55. Woo, woo, woo. Somebody cue the confetti. Yes, all over the place. I am super excited that today's giveaway is lesson 28 in the series, one of my signature courses, Your Midlife, Your Way, a journey to an unapologetically authentic self. Here is the QR code, just in case you can't see the smaller one, in order to download lesson 28, which is Love Your Body. Lesson 28 in Your Midlife, Your Way, a journey to an unapologetically authentic self is Love Your Body. I am super excited that in today's episode of Learning How to Flow in Midlife 55-day series is My Healing Didn't Look Holy. In this raw and revolutionary episode, I am dismantling the picture perfect expectations of healing. I'm going to share how true transformation is often messy. Can somebody say messy, non-linear, and far from the polished narrative we're taught to perform? This episode is a reminder that your healing doesn't have to look holy to be real, powerful, or sacred. Now sit with that. Your healing doesn't have to look holy to be real, powerful, or sacred. So let's jump in. I am so glad that you all have joined me. So this is the series is Learning How to Flow in Midlife, and flow is a framework that I have created for myself. And I thought I would share it with you all who are other women who, like myself, were former women in leadership positions in the C suite, right? The corner office, making decisions and moves, and now finding yourself in midlife, but not finished. Life is not over. You don't want to sit at home. You just ready for that next chapter. And this is how we move forward into the next chapter using the flow framework. Flow, F meaning face the unbelief. L, let go of the lie. O, own your story. And W, win at your next chapter. So, and for each part of that framework, there are three bullet points or three activities, action items that we will be discussing, that I will be discussing with you, that I have found that have worked for me, right? And may be of benefit to you as well. So let's jump in. So, first, in talking about how my healing didn't look holy, all right, I know this might be a little hard for some to chew on, but facing the unbelief is bullet point number one is confronting the belief that healing has to look spiritual to be valid. One thing that I have learned about this midlife journey in this season of transition from the C-suite to home in this next chapter is that what got me into the corner office, the classes, the training, the experience, and all that is great. But because this is a new chapter, I had to wrestle with and deal with healing some places and some bruises and bumps that I encountered in my climb. Mm, sit with that for a minute. Some bumps and bruises that I encountered in my climb up the professional ladder. And having time now that I'm no longer in the 9 to 5 grind and no longer having to answer to an individual with the day to day task, but now focusing on the next chapter, is that there is some residue, some things that I had to unpack and sit with, right, in order to make the most of this next chapter. The second bullet point is admitting the pressure to keep up appearances during our process. One thing about midlife that is welcoming is that we give zero F's. We we don't care at this stage, right? It's not about appearances per se, because we know what we bring to the table. We know our experience. We know our education. We have a proven track record in our 30s and our 20s. We had to prove ourselves. We had to grind. All that's done, honey. We have street cred. We've got t-shirts, we've got posters, we've got books. Come on, somebody. We have got a proven track record. So it's not about keeping up appearances anymore. That is a belief system that has to shift, that has to change. And the third and final bullet about facing the unbelief is recognizing where shame crept in because our path didn't look perfect. Where did shame creep in our pathway because it didn't look perfect? Our journey didn't look like our best friend's journey, didn't look like the person in the office next to us, their journey didn't look like somebody else's. It wasn't perfect. By whose standard though? Facing that unbelief is, it may not have worked for somebody else, but it worked for us, right? What is perfection anyway? Everybody's path is different. And just because our journey doesn't look like somebody else's, just because in midlife you may be like me and not ready to sit at home and do nothing, not ready to sit and play bridge every day, because we don't want to necessarily say, "Oh no, I don't work, I don't do anything." That's not what I want to do. I still have a lot to give. I still have a lot to do. There's still a lot in me. I'm early in my journey. This is just the next chapter. And the shame that creeps in because hey, we're not done. I know society may say we're old. I know once we get in our 50s, things start to look different. Our bodies start to look different. Our health changes, our physiology changes. But these are all good things. There is no shame just because our path didn't look perfect. So let go of the lie, that L in the flow framework. Bullet number one is releasing the lie that breakdowns mean you're doing it wrong. Hmm. Releasing the lie that breakdowns mean you're doing it wrong. I look at breakdowns as an indicator that whatever it is that we're doing is not in alignment with who we are, what our assignment, and what our purpose is, right? A breakdown is space for a breakthrough. Anytime something breaks, even in our car, there is an indicator, that is an indication to us that something is going on wrong that needs to be focused on and needs to be repaired. So a breakdown doesn't mean we're on the wrong path. It doesn't mean we're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that, oh, I'm not on the right path of least resistance or anything like that. No, absolutely not. It just means that we may need to take a pause. Clearly, we need to take a pause, Spend some time here, fix some things before we can move on. Bullet point number 2 in letting it go, letting go of the lie, is letting go of the need to explain our process to others. Now, I'm explaining my process, the flow framework, because it has worked for me. I'm a teacher. This is what I'm called to do. I've been doing it my entire life. Is teaching and sharing information, is letting go of the need to explain our process to others. This is not your journey, is not somebody else's journey. Your assignment, your calling, your purpose is not somebody else's calling or purpose. So feeling as though you have to explain your process to others is in essence saying to God that that impression that he gave you, that idea that he gave you, the purpose that he put in you, that is basically throwing it back in God's face and saying, I don't believe that you gave me this assignment. I need validation from, I need validation, approval from others in order to move forward. And that's the last thing that we need. When we have an assignment, a divine assignment, and we're moving in our purpose, because it's not somebody else's assignment, they don't understand. They may not understand. So let go of the need to explain your process to others. And the third bullet in let go of the lie is dismantling the myth that healing must be public, pretty, or praised. It doesn't have to be public. Now, I'm a firm believer in sharing the journey so that way I don't have to have bad experiences. If somebody can forewarn me, I'm big on research. I'm big on listening to others in authority who have some experience and those that I admire and respect. So, but those people are publicly sharing their journey. But if that's not you, don't dismantle that myth. You don't have to do a YouTube. You don't have to go on social media. It doesn't have to be public. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be praised because guess what? Your healing is your healing. We will see that you are healed by the results of your fruit. We will see that you are healed by how you show up in your assignment, whatever your assignment may be. Next in the flow framework is own. Own your story. Bullet number 1, naming the messiness in your journey without apologizing. Come on now. We at the stage where what are we apologizing for? We haven't done everything right. This thing is kind of, I'm feeling my way through, right? But this is my journey. This is part of my process. As long as it doesn't negatively impact you or somebody else, there's nothing to apologize for. Bullet number 2 is honoring the sacredness in your private progress. You know, in your devotional time with God, you know what you have prayed for. You know what direction that you're moving in. You honor that. You sit with that. You enjoy every step of the journey. It is yours. You have earned it. You have earned it, sis. It is all yours. And the third and final bullet is embracing the truth that God works in the raw and the real. Come on. What else do I need to say about that? That's what he specializes in. God showed up in nothingness and called everything into order. It is not a case of, and for this next chapter of our life in this midlife journey, it's not about having all the answers or having it all together and packaging it. We did that in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s, now in our 50s and our 60s. It done. We're back on the potter's wheel. We're back in the place where we're like, okay, now shape us, form us. I'm laying it all out here for you, God. for the next assignment. Yeah, I got a little more weight. Yeah, I may have some health challenges or some situations going on. Yep, I might be in the sandwich generation where I have parents that I'm a caregiver for. I have kids that are launching into their lives and need some level of assistance. I get all that. But God, I know you work in the raw and the real, and you have a track record of taking everything that we give to you and making it into something beautiful. And finally, the W in the flow framework is win at the next chapter. Great way of winning at the next chapter when our healing doesn't look holy. Number one is creating space for our authentic healing process, creating space for it. That's how we're going to win at this next chapter. Is we're not we're not running away from anything. We're sitting in it, making space and giving room for the authentic healing process, because we're going to need to be healed and whole in order to accomplish this next goal and this next assignment. Second thing is allowing grace to guide us and not guilt. Baby, the guilt days are over and done with. That is history. You cannot guilt me into anything. This is all about the grace of God. Where is grace and mercy? Huh? The two partners. Where is grace and mercy? That's where we are. That's where we're sitting at. And the third and final part of win at the next chapter is choosing wholeness over image. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, what do they do? Here we go. Choosing wholeness over image. It is something beautiful about coming into the presence of a woman, an individual, period, but a woman in midlife that is whole and healed, and it's not about the image. Right now, our young people, the millennials and things, are getting trapped into what things look like, what shoes, what clothes, all of the external stuff, but on the inside is jacked up. We are the example for them to embrace the next phase of life. We lay the trail. It's not nothing wrong with those things. I got things, right? But those things don't have me. It's nothing about the image, but it's about the wholeness. Because when we're whole, our conversation is different. We show up in spaces differently when it's about true wholeness and healing and not about the image. So, our call to action is I'll leave you with this because you know I'm big on journaling. Journal this, answer these two questions. Where have I judged my healing for not looking holy enough? Where have you judged your healing for not looking holy enough? And two, what if God was in every unpolished part? Then share this episode with someone who's quietly healing, that you know that is quietly healing beyond the spotlight. Like this, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at the BS Boss. And I look forward to seeing you on day 29, that episode in the Learning How to Flow in Midlife series, 55-day series, and it's 55 days of giveaways. Don't forget to get your lesson 28. And here is the QR code. And if for some reason you can't get to that QR code, if you look in the description, you will see the link to lesson 28, Love Your Body. It's lesson 28 in your midlife, your way, a journey to an unapologetically authentic self. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in day 29.